My name is Sarah. I'm 29 years old, and I work as an English teacher at a local college in a small town. Love was the last thing on my mind, not after the way my last relationship ended. It left me shattered, and I made a promise to myself, no more romance. My life would be about my career, about teaching. That was the plan, simple and safe. But then Ethan walked into my classroom, and my carefully constructed world began to crumble. Ethan is one of my students. He's 20, with kind, soft eyes and brown hair. He's the quiet type, but always attentive. From the very first day, I felt an inexplicable pull toward him. I tried to dismiss it, to rationalize it away. He's just a student, Sarah, I tell myself. Don't look, don't think. But my heart refused to listen. It found itself waiting for him each morning. He was always early, always choosing a seat in the front row. Every time my gaze met his, he would offer a gentle smile. I fought the urge to smile back, but sometimes I failed. One afternoon, as I was packing up, Ethan approached my desk. "Professor Miller, do you need a hand with those books?" he asked. "No, thank you," I replied quickly. "I can manage." But he insisted. "It's no trouble. I'd like to help." I relented, and we walked to the faculty room together. The silence between us wasn't awkward. It was comfortable, calming. It was a nice feeling, dangerously nice. That evening, I couldn't get him out of my head. "Stop it, Sarah," I scolded myself. "This is wrong. He's your student." Yet seeing him the next day brought a wave of happiness I couldn't deny. The feeling only intensified with each passing week. I knew I was the adult, the one who had to maintain professional boundaries, but my emotions were spiraling out of control. One day, Ethan lingered after class. He stood by my desk, a little hesitant. "Is there something I can help you with?" I asked. "No, I wanted to talk," he said. "All right," I replied. "What's on your mind?" He seemed shy. "I really enjoy this class. I'm learning so much." I smiled, genuinely pleased. "I'm glad to hear that." He held my gaze. "You're a great teacher." I felt a blush creep up my neck. "Thank you." He smiled back. "You have a beautiful smile." My heart started racing. I didn't know how to respond. "Ethan," I said, looking down, "I'm your teacher. It's not appropriate for you to say things like that." "I'm sorry," he said, his voice soft. "I just wanted you to know." And with that, he left. I sank into my chair, my hands trembling slightly. What was I doing? Why hadn't I put a stop to this sooner? The following day, I tried to act as if nothing had happened. I greeted the class with a smile, but inside I was a mess. I found myself waiting for him to speak to me again, and I despised myself for it. Later, I went to the college cafe. Ethan was there, and he waved me over. My first instinct was to turn and leave, but he was already walking toward me. "Can I join you?" he asked. I wanted to refuse, but I heard myself say yes. We sat and drank tea. He asked about my life outside of the classroom. I told him I lived alone and loved to read. He shared that he also lived by himself. "I don't have a lot of friends," he admitted, "but I feel comfortable in your class." I looked at him, my resolve hardening. "Ethan, you need to understand, we can't be friends. You're my student." The sadness in his eyes was instant. "I understand. I just enjoy our conversations." That night, sleep was impossible. I paced my room, questioning my own sanity. Why was I feeling this way? The answer was painfully clear. I was lonely. There was no one waiting for me at home. My phone rarely rang. And now, here was Ethan, showing me kindness, looking at me as if I truly mattered. I knew I had to end it, but a part of me didn't want to. A week later, he stayed after class again. "I know this isn't right," he began, "but I can't stop thinking about you." I remained silent, my heart pounding. "You're smart and kind, and you genuinely care about people." "Please, Ethan, stop," I whispered. "You're too young. I'm your teacher." "It doesn't feel wrong to me," he insisted. I turned away. "It feels wrong to me." But that was a lie. It didn't feel wrong. It felt warm and comforting, like something I had lost long ago. After he left, I buried my face in my hands. What was I supposed to do? I couldn't quit my job, and I couldn't confide in anyone. I had to stop talking to him, but I wanted to. That Friday, as a cold rain fell, class ended early. As students hurried out, Ethan remained. "I don't want to cause you any trouble," he said. "I just want to be honest." "Please don't say anything else," I pleaded. He stood by the door. "I think about you every day." I said nothing. "I would never do anything to hurt you. I just needed you to know." Then he was gone. I locked the classroom and walked to my car, the rain soaking through my clothes. I sat behind the wheel and wept. I felt like a terrible person, weak and unprofessional. I wanted to be strong, but I wasn't. All I wanted was to see him again. Later that night, I sat by the window with a cup of tea, watching the rain streak down the glass. My thoughts were consumed by Ethan, his smile, his voice, his eyes. "You're a grown woman," I told myself. "You're here to teach, not to fall in love." But my heart was no longer listening. The next day, I entered the classroom with a heavy heart. "Be professional," I chanted internally. "Just do your job." I smiled at my students and wished them a good morning, but it was all an act. Ethan was in his usual seat. He looked at me, his expression somber, not his usual smile. I avoided his gaze and started the lesson, acutely aware of him in my peripheral vision. After class, I gathered my belongings, eager to make a quick exit. "Professor Miller," his voice stopped me. "Can we talk?" He stood by the door, keeping his distance. I took a deep breath. "Okay, but just for a minute." "I'm sorry," he said immediately. "I never wanted to make you sad." I shook my head. "You didn't, but this is difficult." He looked at the floor. "I understand." We stood in silence for a moment. "I'm your teacher, Ethan," I said finally, "and you're my student. This can't happen." He nodded slowly. "I know, but I can't help how I feel." His voice was so earnest, so genuine. It was clear he wasn't playing games. I felt the exact same way, but I couldn't admit it. "You need to focus on your future," I said, my voice firmer than I felt. "This will only lead to pain for both of us." His eyes welled with hurt. "I don't want to hurt you," he repeated, "but pretending I feel nothing hurts too." I picked up my bag. "I have to go." I walked quickly to my car and sat there, my hands gripping the steering wheel, tears blurring my vision. That evening was a blur of tasteless soup and a television screen I didn't see. My mind was a constant replay of Ethan. I felt utterly lost. I spent the next week avoiding him as best I could. I'd linger in the faculty lounge or rush out of the classroom the moment the bell rang. But his presence was unavoidable. I was exhausted. My head ached and I had no appetite. On Thursday, I saw him waiting by the college gates. My feet froze. He walked over. "Please, Professor Miller," he pleaded. "Just 5 minutes. I have to say something." We walked to a secluded bench under the trees. The sky was a blanket of gray. "I don't want to be a problem in your life," he said. "I just need to know how you feel." I stared at my hands, unable to lie, but terrified of the truth. "I don't know," I whispered. "I don't want to feel this way, but I do." His expression shifted from anxiety to surprise, then to a flicker of hope. "I knew it," he said softly. "I felt it." "That doesn't make it right," I countered. "It makes it worse." He looked at me intently. "What if we wait? We do nothing for now, but when the semester is over, we talk again." He was serious. After the semester, he wouldn't be my student anymore. "Yes," he said, reading my thoughts. "I won't be your student. I'll just be a man." I was speechless. "I'll wait," he said, "if you want me to." I stood up. "I have to go." "Will you think about it?" he asked. "Yes," I said, "I will." The next few weeks were torturous. We saw each other in class, exchanging glances, but no words. The days crawled by. I watched him interact with other students, always patient, always kind. I felt a surge of pride. My feelings weren't just a crush. I was seeing him as a truly good person. I started to feel a little lighter, a bit of warmth returning to my heart. On the last day of class, I said my goodbyes to the students. Jake was the last to leave. He stood by my desk. "So, it's over?" he said. "Yes," I replied. "You're not my student anymore." A small smile touched his lips. "No, I'm not." The air was thick with unspoken words. "Can we talk?" he asked. I nodded. We sat on the same bench. "I still feel the same way," he said. "Nothing has changed for me." I met his gaze. "Me too." He smiled, a real radiant smile this time. "I want to get to know you, Sarah, the person, not the professor." "Maybe we could get coffee next week," he suggested. "Okay," I said. "Next week." He looked ecstatic. I was terrified, but for the first time, I also felt free. A week later, I was sitting in a cafe, my hands wrapped around a warm mug, my nerves on edge. Then he walked in, looking calm and confident. He smiled. I smiled back. "Hi, Sarah," he said. Hearing him use my first name was strange, but nice. "Hi, Ethan." We sat in a comfortable silence for a moment before the conversation started to flow. He told me about his new part-time job at a bookstore. I told him about my plans to visit my sister. It was easy, normal. When it was time to leave, he asked, "Can we do this again?" I paused for a second, then said, "Yes." And we did. We met every week, we talked, we walked, we watched movies. He was just himself, and I loved that about him. But fear still lingered. I kept our relationship a secret, scared of judgment. One evening, by the lake, he asked, "Do you still think this is wrong?" "Maybe it was before," I said, "but not now." "I really like you," he said, "but I don't want you to feel bad because of me." "You're not a problem," I assured him. "You just came into my life at a complicated time." He smiled. Sometimes complicated things can be good. A few weeks later, I finally told my sister. "How old is he?" she asked. 20, I admitted. She was quiet for a moment. Then, "Are you happy?" "Yes," I said. "Then that's all that matters." A huge weight lifted from my shoulders. One day, Ethan brought me yellow flowers. "I saw these," he said. "They looked happy, just like you." We sat under a tree in the park. "I was so scared before," I confessed. "I thought I'd lose my job, that people would judge me." "I know," he said, taking my hand. "But now," I continued, "I just want to live." "Me too," he said. We talked about the past and the future, but we made no grand plans. We took it one day at a time. "I know I'm young," he said one evening. "I don't have all the answers, but I know I care about you deeply." My heart swelled. "You make me feel seen," I told him. "You make me feel like I matter." He smiled. "That's how you make me feel too." As we watched the stars come out, I rested my head on his shoulder. For the first time in a very long time, I didn't feel lonely. I don't know what the future holds for us, but right now, in this moment, we are happy, and that is enough.